Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. I have some breaking news for you. We have not talked about Britney Spears in a couple weeks, and it sounds like Jamie Spears has finally agreed to step down as conservator. This actually comes after a judge denied a hearing that would have moved up in regards to a motion that was filed to have Jamie removed, where multiple people had all provided their evidence as to why they believed Jamie should be removed. A judge denied the motion to have the trial moved, or to have the hearing moved up. So people were worried that that meant that Jamie would still be stuck on the conservatorship indefinitely. But it sounds like after literally everyone from Britney's medical team to her personal conservator, Jody Montgomery, her mom, and Britney herself wanting Jamie out, he has finally seen the writing on the wall and he has agreed to step down as conservator. So TMZ broke the story, and he has apparently filed documents in court which say the following: there are, in fact, no actual grounds for suspending or removing Mr. Spears as conservator of the estate, and it's highly debatable whether a change in conservator at this time would be in Miss Spears' best interest. Oh, Jamie. Nevertheless, even as Mr. Spears is the unremitting target of unjustified attacks, he does not believe that a public battle with his daughter over his continuing service as her conservator would be in her best interests. So even though he must contest this unjustified petition for his removal, Mr. Spears intends to work with the court and his daughter's new attorney to prepare for an orderly transition to a new conservator. Even though, you guys, it's not justified, even though everyone has testified or provide declarations and affidavits suggesting that this is not good for Britney, even though there's no evidence, you guys, I'll transition out. It's so gross. Anyways, he says, regardless of his formal title, Mr. Spears will always be Miss Spears' father and will always love her unconditionally, and he will always look out for her best interests. Now, if you're thinking that he was going to go down like quietly, nope. He also took the opportunity to take a jab at Lynn Spears and apparently shaded her for having no involvement in his daughter's life or the conservatorship for almost 13 years, and that her credibility is undermined because Britney herself refused to even see Lynn when she was in a mental health facility in 2019. He also credits himself for saving Britney's life and says that she was in crisis, desperately in need of help 13 years ago, and not only was she suffering mentally and emotionally, she was also being manipulated by predators and in financial distress. Mr. Spears came to his daughter's rescue to protect her. I don't know about that, Jamie. So after everything is all said and done, Jamie is going to be stepping down as Britney's conservator, and he claims that this process was already ongoing, like he was working with her previous attorney and the court knew that. Variety reported on this topic as well. He also said this: as the court has likely surmised before Miss Spears' new attorney arrived, Mr. Spears had already been working on such a transition with Miss Spears' former court-appointed counsel, Sam Ingham. Jamie, do you really think we believe you? Do you really think that you were working on a transition? Why are you fighting so hard to stay on that if that's true? That doesn't make any sense to me. Why would you be fighting and contesting the removal of you when literally everyone wants you off, and you're saying, well, the court already knew that I was going to transition off of this? It makes no sense. His attorney was fighting his removal. So if Vivian Thurine and Jamie are providing all of this evidence to the court to reasons for why he should stay, are we really supposed to believe that he was working with Sam Ingham before on his removal? I don't believe this. Obviously, Britney's attorneys gave a statement to Variety which said this: I announced in court on July 14th that after 13 years of the status quo, it was time for Mr. Spears to be suspended or removed as conservator, and that my firm and I would move aggressively and expeditiously for that outcome. 12 days later, my firm filed a petition for Mr. Spears' suspension and removal based on strong, insurmountable legal grounds, which are unequivocally supported by the law and all parties involved, including Jodi Montgomery, Britney Spears, and her medical team. We are pleased that Mr. Spears and his lawyers have today conceded in filing that he must be removed. It's vindication for Britney. We are disappointed, however, by their ongoing shameful and reprehensible attacks on Ms. Spears and others. We are looking forward on continuing our vigorous investigation into the conduct of Mr. Spears and others over the past 13 years. While he reaped millions of dollars from his daughter's estate, I look forward to taking Mr. Spears' sworn deposition in the near future. He also added, in the interim, rather than making false accusations and taking cheap shots at his daughter, Mr. Spears should remain silent and step aside immediately. He wants to control the narrative. That's how it seems to me. You know, when you're about to lose, and you're about to lose in the world of PR, and I only know this because of like my world of dealing with like pseudo celebrities, is that sometimes people try to get ahead of the narrative. So they might know at this point that there's a lot of evidence that's been presented and maybe the judge is not going to rule in their favor. And so instead of continuing the fight and making it appear as though you're fighting against your daughter's wishes, you control the narrative by stepping aside and saying, I'm leaving. And it's because it's not in my daughter's best interest to continue to have this public fight. Now, I would believe these words if it wasn't until like just recently he was fighting against this, and I would believe these words if there was pattern here that actually showed that he cared about her mental health, because Britney has been screaming for more than a year that she wants to have him off the conservatorship. The fact that this woman legitimately has said to people, I refuse to work as long as my dad is my conservator. I will never work for my father again. She has called him abusive. She has been concerned about his drinking. She has called him effectively forcing her into work. She referred to herself as a trafficked victim in an adult industry, and said that she needed freedom because he controlled everything down to her drinking coffee, taking vitamins, and driving her car. There was some stuff that came out last week, which Jamie tried to push out, that said that Jodi Montgomery had wanted to place Britney into a 5150, that Britney was mentally sick, and he was trying to throw Jodi under the bus, saying that Jodi agrees with me that Britney has mental illness and that Britney is not well, because Jodi was saying that Britney was not complying with taking her medications or going to therapy. But honestly, after what she said in court on June 23rd, can you really blame her? She said flat out, I don't want to take lithium and I don't want to go to these doctors because these doctors are in places where the paparazzi is, and it feels very violating, and they're not doctors I want to work with. I want to work with doctors I want to work with, and I want to get on different meds. Like, that's not that hard. I feel like a lot of people are talking around Britney, and I think a lot of the people around in this conservatorship are realizing that even if, say, Britney does have a mental health issue, they can no longer hide behind the secrecy of this conservatorship, because Britney is not going to allow it to happen anymore. And it's clear that her attorney is not going to allow the status quo to remain. And the fact that if within 5-6 weeks of Matthew coming onto this case, a month, he's gone, tells you just how strong the evidence, at least in my opinion, that what is going on here is not right, that Britney does not benefit from anyone by having her father under her, being in control of her finances. And I will be very interested to see if Matthew Rosengart is able to take a look at the finances and determine if there has been misappropriation of funding. This has been a sticking point for Britney for a very long time. She was fighting over some fees that he paid to TriStar, and she's been just overall concerned about some of the choices he's made with her money. In fact, using millions of dollars in order to defend his reputation. He's wasting her time, her money, and her life trying to stay in a position that she didn't want him in, and he wasted millions of dollars to do that. I hope there is some sort of legal ramifications for Jamie. I hope Britney can do something to hold him accountable if everything that she says that he's done is true. And I'm so glad to hear that she has counsel that is believing in her and doing what's right for her. Tell me, are you guys excited for Britney? I truly hope you are, because today is a really good day for Britney. I am sure she is so ecstatic and so happy, and also probably frustrated that it took this long for her dad to do the right thing. All right, you guys, tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.